the Chinese Communist Party represents the preeminent international threat to American security, prosperity, and freedom. Why is that? Why do I say that? The CCP combines both the will and increasingly the ability to attack and undermine US interests. The CCP has a hostile ideology, tremendous economic resources, and a rapidly improving and modernizing military. The Communist Party has also demonstrated a willingness over time to utilize a range of national tools in an incremental and surreptitious manner against us. And lately, based on its growing power and perhaps based on the COVID-19 pandemic, the CCP has been acting more overtly and aggressively than we've seen. We see that, for example, in Hong Kong, in the South China Sea, in the seas and skies surrounding Taiwan, and on the border with India. You know, in the 1990s, America attempted to welcome Beijing on the international stage as a constructive power and stakeholder. Beijing responded with a systematic campaign of theft of American technology and intellectual property that the director of the FBI this week called, quote, one of the largest transfers of wealth in human history. The CCP has responded with the most aggressive military modernization effort in its history. And the CCP has also responded by attempting to prevent the US from sailing or flying where international law permits, so Beijing can more effectively bully and dominate its neighbors. Instead of joining the rules-based international order, the CCP is seeking to displace the United States and recast that order to make it more accommodating to authoritarianism. Clearly, ignoring or accommodating the CCP threat has not worked for the US and our partners. So what's to be done? What should we do? First, we must be clear, I think, regarding the stakes involved. This competition between Washington and Beijing is not just the latest example of geopolitical giants wrestling for some fleeting advantage. The stakes are really much higher than that. It is a competition between the world's leading constitutional democracy and the world's leading authoritarian power. The outcome will determine what form of government and what view of individual freedom predominates, and which will have an outsized influence in setting the rules and norms that we live by. If you want to know what an international system looks like in which the CCP is the predominant power, look at how Beijing exercises power at home today. Look at the CCP's treatment of the Uyghurs. Ask anyone brave enough to speak up against the Communist Party in China. Look at what the CCP is doing in Hong Kong. If you don't like what you see in China, you definitely won't like an international state system in which Washington has relinquished its leadership role to Beijing. You know, some Americans may be tempted to dismiss such talk of international state systems or international orders as Beltway talk or Washington talk that's not relevant to their daily lives. But didn't Pearl Harbor, didn't 9/11, and hasn't now the COVID-19 pandemic taught us all that what happens abroad matters and can hurt us here at home? Borders and large oceans do not provide us the protection we wish they did. We'll be more effective in addressing transnational threats if America engages and leads abroad, builds a forward position defense in depth, and leads coalitions and alliances of like-minded states to address challenges and deter aggression. That means investing sufficiently in America's diplomatic and development capabilities. It means understanding that America's alliances represent one of our greatest grand strategic advantages, not a burden to be jettisoned. It means shoring up the economic and technological foundations of American prosperity and security. It also means providing the Department of Defense the resources it needs in the next few years to complete the belated, generational, and desperately needed modernization efforts they're currently undertaking. This competition is not between the American people and the Chinese people. It is a conflict between the Chinese Communist Party and all states and all peoples around the world that seek a free, open, and inclusive international order that does what? That respects and upholds the rule of law and individual freedom. If we understand the stakes and take these steps, working in close coordination with like-minded democratic allies, we can deter the CCP's authoritarian aggression and protect America's core interests for years to come.